Well, hello everybody and welcome to Chef's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make an easy jam tart. This is from a request that I had from somebody who had seen this recipe on a website by David Leibovitz, and he in turn got the recipe and adjusted it from somebody else. And it's to make a pastry, line a tart tin, and a 9-inch fluted tart tin is what I'm going to use, but you could use a springform tin, and then fill the pastry with jam and then put more pastry on top in little sort of discs of pastry all over the top. You could roll it out and make a lattice work if you wanted to. But the person who mentioned this to me wants to make it themselves, but they'd like to see how it's done as opposed to just reading the recipe. So today I'm going to make it and see how it turns out. It's quite straightforward, as I say, because it's only pastry and jam, and you can use whatever jam you want. I'm going to use strawberry jam. Now I have to say I've adjusted some of the measurements, or some of the metric measurements which David Leibovitz gave, because I thought his were inaccurate. So for instance, he said 9 tablespoons of butter, brackets 110 grams. Well, 9 tablespoons of butter is 126 grams, basically. So that's what I'm going to use. So I'll go on to the ingredients. And for that, as I said, I have 9 tablespoons of butter, which is 126 grams. I have 1 medium egg, which would be large in the USA, and 1 medium egg yolk, again large in the USA. I have 190 grams of plain flour, which works out at 1 cup plus 1/4 of a cup. That's based on scooping 150 grams of packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 100 grams, half a cup of caster sugar. I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of sea salt. I have 1 3/4 cups, which is what David Leibovitz asked for, of jam, and that 1 3/4 cups of jam weighs 530 grams. He said 450, but mine weighs 530, so again it depends what jam you use, perhaps. And I have 70 grams, half a cup of cornmeal, mine's finely ground, and I have 3 tablespoons of demerara sugar, which is going to be sprinkled on the top, and I may not need all of that, but I've got 3 tablespoons if I need it. And I'm also going to put 2 or 3 drops, up to 1/8 of a teaspoon of almond extract in the pastry dough as well. So to start off with, I'm going to simply mix my flour, baking powder, salt and corn flour together, and then I will set those aside. It's just to get those mixed in together a little bit, and then into a large bowl I'm going to put my butter and my sugar, and I'm going to cream them together. Now you can do this by hand, but I'm going to use my hand mixer as I usually do. And I'm going to cream them together until they're nice and fluffy. So that's nice and fluffy now. And so into that I'm going to just drip a little bit of the almond extract, and I'm going to put my whole egg and my egg yolk in, and I'm going to mix those together. So that's very easy. And then I'm going to add my flour mixture, and I'm going to add this a little bit at a time and mix it on a low speed just until it all comes together. And I can use my hand to pull it together towards the end. So I've mixed that with a hand mixer, but I'm using my spatula just to pull the remaining dried flour mix into the dough, and it's quite a wet mixture, but it should pull together quite nicely. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 300 grams of that, which is about 2/3 of it, and I'm going to form that into a disc in plastic wrap. And then the remainder I'm going to form into a log. So the 300 grams, or in fact I've now got about 330 grams here, I'm going to wrap that and press it down, and I'm just going to flatten that like that, and then I'm going to take the remainder and I'm going to form this into a log about 2 inches in diameter if I can. Like that, and I'm going to chill them both in the fridge, and I'm going to let them chill for an hour, and then after an hour I'll come back and I will have my oven preheating at 190 Celsius, that's 170 Celsius with the fan, 375 Fahrenheit, and we'll go on to put the main base of the pastry into the tart tin, fill it with jam, and then put the discs on top. My oven is now preheating, and it's been over an hour since I was chilling the pastry. So I've taken it out and I've put the one piece into my 9-inch tart tin, and what I have to do is press that down until it completely covers the tin and goes up the sides. And as you can see, this is a soft and malleable dough. Now, I want to mention that the original recipe that David Leibovitz based his recipe on referred to this as a crostata, and crostata seems very popular as a way of doing these things, and it's a slightly different type of pastry because it is soft, as you can see, and I don't know, but I mean, this has baking powder in it, and most pastry, pie doughs and such like, don't have baking powder in because they're a raising agent. So this is going to give a slightly different texture than most other pastries would do. And with that pushed into the tin, and I've not brought it right up the side, I don't think I need to do that. I'm going to take my jam and put that in, and I'm only going to fill it, so if I don't need all of the jam I won't use it. So I spread it around. Like that, and I don't think I'm going to put any more in. I think that's just about enough. And then what I've done is I've sliced the remaining pastry into fairly thin slivers, and you could actually do this any way you want basically, but I'm going to you could crumble it on the top, or you could roll it and make a lattice work. But I'm going to place it on the top, overlapping just a little bit, and then I'm just going to dot the other little pieces over the top like that, and I'm going to then take my demerara sugar and sprinkle that over the top of the pastry. Like that, and I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it for between 20 and 25 minutes until it's turned a nice golden brown, hopefully. Then I take it out and then allow it to cool down completely, and once it's cooled down completely I'll come back and show you the results. I baked the apple pie or apple tart for 25 minutes. It turned a nice golden brown, and I took it out of the oven and I've allowed it to cool down quite a bit. It's still warm, but I've taken it out of the tart tin, and this is what it looks like. Now, I'm not actually going to cut this now because it's still not completely cooled down. I'm going to put it in the fridge to cool it more, but the reason I'm showing it now is because it's getting quite late here and I want to shut everything down for the night. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I think it's turned out quite well and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for this recipe, and I'll also put a link for it below the video, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.